This video is entitled Maintenance, Assembly File, Assembly Listing Detail. Selecting an assembly on the list using any of the methods described previously and either clicking the Edit button or double-clicking the green field surrounding the abbreviated information will display the Assembly Listing Detail form. So if I double-clicked on this green area, I would show the listing detail for this 1/2" EMT with steel coupling. Or if I went back to the list and I highlighted that one and clicked the Edit button, which is what I'm going to do, I would select Show the Assembly Listing Detail. I open up the Assembly Listing Detail, and these are it displays the fields that are important to this assembly. Each assembly has a 5-digit assembly number. An assembly number can be anything from 1,000 up through 99,999. So far we've not had anybody exceed that number, but if we did, we would certainly increase it for them. The description field will hold 29 characters. If it is a sized value, make sure that the size is in the front of the description. In this case it's 1/2", and it has the symbol for inches on it. The prime, a double prime in this case, it's also known as confused with an abbreviation, but it's called a double prime, so that when the program selects parts that match this, it will find the sizes correctly. The other item on the top of the form is the menu code. Assigning a menu code to an assembly is a very powerful tool, because what it does is when you add this assembly to an estimate and give it some quantity, the program will automatically bring up the EM menu, which is the EMT autofill menu, so you can complete the components that are in that make up this assembly. For example, if you think that there's not, normally the reason we use fill is because we want to be able to go in and add wire to this, or add pull string, or add something, add some field bends or elbows to this assembly. This assembly is a bare minimum assembly. It has conduit, couplings, and strap, but it's missing the wire and some other things that are important to it. And those components are contained within the EM menu, so I could automatically fill this item. Then the material list values are displayed on the left-hand side. The standard material, the net material, and the list material are all calculated values based on the components that are in the system. The next section is the takeoff type section, where you can assign this assembly to as a count item or as a length item. And this is only important if you're going to export this assembly to some digital screen takeoff programs that require that the assemblies that go into their system be designated as either count items or length items. The next section is the labor values. Again, these are calculated values based on the items that are in the assembly multiplied times the count times their labor units, in labor unit 1, labor unit 2, labor unit 3. So that's how we calculate the standard level 1, level 2, level 3 values and 4 values, and the net values as well. Then in the middle section of the screen, we have the detail. They're the items that comprise this assembly. And there's a couple of tools here that are important to be aware of. The first one is a little plus symbol, which will allow me to explode the part so that I can see the components of that part, see all the different features of that part. The next critical component here is the part number component. What the part number is, it's a button. When I click it, it displays the part assembly lookup button so that I can go into the parts file and I can find some component that I wanted to add it. For example, as an example only, it doesn't make any sense, but let's say I wanted to add a 1/2" GRC 1-hole steel strap to this item. All I have to do is I want to replace this 1/2" EMT 1-hole strap with a GRC strap for some reason. So I just double click this item, it's replaced, and I'm good to go. It's also recalculated, everything has taken place. I want to go put it back the way it was. So now I go to EMT straps and get my 1/2" strap, double click it, and everything gets recalculated, is put back the way it was. A very easy way to change components within an assembly. The navigation arrows on the bottom left-hand corner allow me to move from one assembly to another. The recalc button allows me to recalculate the values for the labor values and material costs. If I've added components, I want to make sure that everything's recalculated correctly, I can click the recalc button. The delete button allows me to delete a particular item from an assembly. I highlight the item and I click the delete button. If I want, I can also hold the control key down and delete multiple items at the same time. The edit button puts the form into edit mode so that I can go in and change my quantities. For example, if I wanted to change the quantity on the straps to 0.12, I change it and I save it, and I've saved it and I've recalculated my system. Add a part. I can add a part with the add a part button. I can go into the system. Again, maybe there's some reason why I want to add some part to this item. Let's go in here and add the 1/2 inch apple and strap. I double click it. I've added the part. Now I can just put this thing into edit mode and I can put 0.12 straps in there. I save it. I've still got the other strap in there, and I'll take care of that in a moment when I clean this up after I've completed this video. The other thing I can do is I can import another assembly into this assembly. Many times when we're manufacturing assemblies become a collection of other assemblies. I'm combining 2 or 3 or 4 assemblies to make one nice assembly to do something that's important to me. So this is what the import button will allow me to do. So I'm going to use the import button, and I'm going to go over here and I'm just going to go get an outlet, for example. Let's just say that I wanted to add this duplex 15 amp GFI flush outlet to this assembly. I double click it and I get the import assembly manager up. Now I can put multiple or fractional amounts of an assembly into this assembly. I can put 1, 2, 3, or 4, or I can put a fractional amount in. I'm just going to put one assembly in here just so you can see what it looks like. I click OK. The program automatically goes out and explodes the assembly and brings in the components into the assembly. If I had brought in items that had already been in here, what the program would have done would have combined the quantities into one entry. So if I'd had some number 12 THH and copper salad in here, and I brought some more in, it would combine the quantities, so I would have 4. Don't let that confuse you. Sometimes people think that it doesn't bring them in. If the item already is in here, it will combine them into the assembly. The last button on this toolbar is the close button, which when I click it, will close me out and take me back to the list, the assembly list, and that will complete the maintenance assembly file assembly listing detail video.